Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things. I am working on Winter is Coming Wednesday, episode 9, I believe, because I'm not at my computer. I will correct the number on the title if it is not number 9, but I believe that's where we're at. I am in the final week before my Artisan market, so I am going to run through. I have been frantically making cards the last 3 days, and I'm taking a little break from sitting at my crafting table. So I'm now sitting here at my drawing table, and I have set up what I call my Splatter workstation, and I thought you guys might like to see how I do splatter and what materials I like to use. So here I am. I will do a little walkthrough of the area, and then I will have to set up my camera so I can give you guys a little show and tell of what types of projects I have done with the splatter. So basically, you can go ahead and use splatter stamps, and you can use your dye inks, but right now I'm focusing on the more shimmery, glittery type inks and liquids that you would use a paintbrush to apply. So I have here brushes, and I will tell you which are my favorite brushes for the various look I'm going after. I have my water. I do have a little palette right here to help to eliminate the extra liquid from the brush before I flick, because they can get really saturated, and depending on your material that you are splattering on, you need to be aware of how wet things are, because the basic white can pucker if it gets too wet. I have some older Stampin' Up retired shimmery materials. I have the shimmer paint. This is an acrylic paint. I use a water to get more out of it, so I water it down. And then there's the shimmer inks. You can also put those on like a silicone mat and wet those down some more. And right now what I am doing specifically are these little pans of metallic watercolor paints. So these are like a mica. If you have, they used to sell the mica in jars. The thing with the mica in the jars, you need to make sure that it is in a binder that will fix it, or if it is just water and there's no other binder in it to make it adhere, it will just dry and it'll just blow away. So I have had better luck using like the acrylic metallics, the ink metallics, and then now these watercolor metallics, because somebody else already did the mixture correctly, so that I don't have to try to take my mica powders and turn it into some sort of liquid that will stay on the paper when it dries. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I have a square of paper towel handy in case things get too wet. I have something right at hand to be able to dry up the wet. And then I have I call my splatter box. So the surface in front of the splatter box, you can see the splatter marks here going out onto the table. So my table is a white plastic, but I want to make sure that my splatters don't actually get on my table. So I have I don't even remember why we bought these, a really thin plywood. It's not even, it may be a 1/4 inch thick. And I liked the color. I use it for filming photography, sometimes for cards, but for other types of things. So I have sealed it with a clear polyurethane like 3 times, so I know that if I get these paint splatters on, I can just wipe it right off. So this is just a cardboard box. It is in fact a Amazon box that had something in it. So it was collapsed. I just grabbed it and opened it back up, taped the bottom so that I can safely splatter away in here and not make a giant mess. Let's see, what else have I got? I think that's it for my supplies. And I have a sample I'm going to walk through. Maybe I'll do that this way first, and then I'll get my camera put up on the tripod. So if you remember way back in March, which you probably don't, I did Winter is Coming Wednesday episode 3, and it was a follow-up from when I had a little mini crafting retreat with 3 of my card making friends, and we played with gel plates. And I don't know if at the time I knew as much as I know now because I've done more research. Basically, the gel plate is this really super sticky plate, and you add layers of mediums with different imagery. You can either stamp, spray, paint, and you let each layer dry. And then when you've got a bunch of layers on and you think you like it, you put down your paper and you roll a brayer over it and peel it up, and up comes the layers in the inverse. And so you see it inverted. So this here is one of my leaf plates that I had done. You can see I did some stamping first, and then I did some block sponging with, it looks like done with a spot. Then maybe at the very bottom I did light blue. There are some white showing through. Those are Versamark stamping. And then you're going to see, if I get the angle right, I have my light on so you can see the gold splatters. So those gold splatters are from my watercolor little pans. And the watercolor paints, you can get metallic paints. They're all different prices. These were very inexpensive ones, but you can get them on Amazon, Temu. Temu ordering of art supplies, you have to wait. You know, they're not going to come in 2 days. So Amazon is probably your best bet, and you also have, you know, the guarantee of the return if it is not to your liking, and Temu has the same deal. You can go to Blick Art Supplies. That's one of my other, like, for actual artist quality supplies, and get these little pans. Here's what they look like. I have a set called Candy and a set called Vintage. The Vintage is the one that has the metallics that I am using. You can even see this copper one has been used quite a bit, and so has this gold. So the pan, the watercolor medium in the pan, you can see, is already concave because I've been using it quite a bit. I'm going to stop now and get set up, and I'm going to walk through some projects so you can see what the end result is. All right, I am back. I have 2 main types of splatter that I have been doing using the splattering with paintbrushes. This is the fan brush. These brushes I bought at Walmart, and you got just a whole bunch of them. I have a couple of oddballs in there too. So this is the array of brushes that I got. Yep, that's all of them. And you'll see the ones that are dark. These are the ones I've been splattering with. The long bristles, either one of these 2 achieve the same thing. I was playing with them to see if there was any difference, but there's not any difference. These 2 are used for the splatter that's on this leaf, and the fan is what I use for the type of splatter that's on this card. And now I will, oops, sorry, my foot touched the camera. So these are very tiny splatters. Basically, I put the card. This was the complete card, by the way. You don't have to do it just the background. I was playing with what it looks like to get all of the surfaces splattered. The leaves don't look splattered because I think I've remembered the leaves after the fact. So basically, you set your leaf in your card in the box. You're always going to most easily splatter in one direction. I'm going to see if I can show you my primary direction. If you look at the splatters, is diagonal this direction. And I am left-handed, so probably a right-handed person would go diagonally the other direction. So my technique is that I hold the brush, it is wet, and I put my hand vertical and I tap on these long brush bristles. They make bigger splatters. Here is again, the splatter pattern that's gold. And they make the bigger, here's a nice big one on this particular, see how big those are? That is the long bristle brush. Again, holding my hand like in a vertical and tapping. Same with the fan, and the fan results in the teeny tiny even coverage. Then if I want more coverage, this particular coverage is in a line. So do your practicing. I have a practice sheet floating around here where I learned by practicing on white which direction my splatter was going to be, and I don't change the location of my hand and the brush. I will splatter, rotate, splatter, rotate, splatter, rotate. So that is my technique. I actually use that same technique when I am coloring, like a coloring page. I actually rotate the page I'm coloring. I don't try to move my hand. I keep my hand in the most comfortable position, consistency, so that I get the same result every time. So that same tactic with coloring I use with splattering. Okay, so I have, and let me know what kind of questions you have. There's no special materials here. It's a cardboard box, a cup full of water. The brushes came from Walmart, so they were a cheap set of brushes from the craft section. This mini palette, probably I've had forever. Then I have some retired Stampin' Up metallic-y mediums, and then I'm doing watercolor. I think that's about it. No, I don't use a water brush. Here is the water brush. I did not have good results with a water brush, so I do not recommend splattering with the water brush. I just found that I couldn't control the water that came from it enough for my liking, for the consistency that I was looking for. Okay, so these gel plates are all from episode 3, Winter is Coming Wednesday, and like I said, I am preparing for the Artisan market, and I am turning everything I possibly have in my to be completed stash into cards. So I'm going to share today just the ones from the gel plate project and the Winter is Coming Wednesday episode 3. So you might want to pop back there and it'll give you more details. I think I might have even done an example. Here is, oh, and some of the materials on these cards are going to be retired because I am making so many of them. I'm trying to use up anything extra that I have. So like this 'Tis the Season probably was still current. In February is when we did our retreat, and then March was when I posted this Winter is Coming Wednesday episode 3. So the silver piece in the back comes from the current silver set that has like silver, purple, and like a tinted soft silver. These silver snowflakes were, so all of these were cut back then. 'Tis the Season was from back then. And the rhinestones are something I got from somewhere, probably left over. So those 3 rhinestones are not Stampin' Up. This trim actually came out of my remnant bag that my upline Libby sent me. So that probably was a Stampin' Up ribbon at some point. So it might look familiar to you. And then these sequins are all current. So anything current that I find on here, I will put on the supplies list. But be aware that at this point, I've noticed that the availability on the holiday stuff is getting low because everyone's buying it up to make their cards. So this is a wonderful background that I use the Season of Chic snowflake to make. You can see many layers built up with the gel plates, some sponging. I probably did use the spots in these quadrants where you see darker color areas, and then I softened them with a sponge dauber. This is the inside stamped. Trick that I've been doing the last 3 days to try to make sure that it's like a personal goal for me for doing cards this year for the holidays, is to trim off a section of whatever my background is, save that piece, and use it on the inside. So if you suffer like me of trying to be creative when you make your backgrounds, the inside, you can always just stamp, but I'm trying to go one just a little bit further, and that's these thin strips that you will see on some of my cards. So that is one of them that I did. This next one, I did this pretty late last night. I set goals every day, and I am so slow. I enjoy the process, and so it's really hard to make me get into a quote-unquote production state of mind because I just don't have that. For that last card, this is how I decorated the envelope. So I haven't done anything special over and above on the envelopes than what I've done in the past, but I am trying to step up the insides. The next one I actually really love. This is a gel plate background. It's very soft. I don't know exactly how I would replicate it. I had this vertical stripe. This is a current paper. I'm using the Winter Greetings from the current snowflake set, and then the snowflake dies are from Season of Chic. These little teeny tiny rhinestones are from my rhinestone stash, and some of the Stampin' Up, like the sequins for everything, the mixes will have little tiny rhinestones, but I have to dig them out of those variety packs, and so I finally just relented and bought 2 sizes of teeny tiny rhinestones. These are called an SS6, and the slightly larger ones are SS8. So those sizes are much smaller than the current smallest Stampin' Up adhesive backed sequin. Rhinestone. So that is the mix. Now the bow is using the glittered organdy, which is current. It's like a web exclusive now. It's not in any catalog. There's the balmy blue ombre that is pretty fat, and I cut it in half. And then there is some metallic wrapped baker's twine. This is from Hobby Lobby. So again, when I do my holiday cards, I go all out, and I sell a bunch of them at the market, and whatever is left over I use for myself. And then I have to make a bunch more if I sell more than what I need to send to people. The inside of this is pretty boring. I just wanted to keep it simple and sweet, and it is a very vanilla base. The envelope is simple and sweet with just a couple of stamped snowflakes from Season of Chic. And then you're seeing this one actually is from the retreat that I just came back from, and it is a shoebox swap. This was from Kathy, who is one of the people who came to my retreat, and she makes wonderful designs. I have a variety of 3-up sequins, 3 locations, and they are all current. I will put the links to all 3 of them. We've got the More Dazzle, I think is what it's called, 6-inch by 6-inch metallic little chunks. Pardon the cough. And then this particular linen is really hard to get. Every time I've wanted it, it's sold out. And I just took a little snip of it and cut it in half and put a piece of it hanging out from each side. And this is a little bit of a fancy fold, and Kathy had done something much more elaborate on the inside that is elaborate enough that I'm going to use it to make a second card from. So I just did a simpler inset, and because this is a die cut background that's been sponged, I didn't have the option of cutting a piece of it off to put on a strip, so I have left the inside pretty plain. I then have the layout for this Happy Thanksgiving from last year with a fancy bow using the 1/8, there's a 1/8 silver and gold combo trim. I have a piece of gold thread and then gold and white wrapped baker's twine. The thread and the baker's twine is again Hobby Lobby. I've got scripty sayings in the layer behind with the wood embossed behind that in Cajun Craze. That is my base. And then I've got to layer all this up, and the Happy Thanksgiving is from last year. It has the pheasant on it, and I absolutely love it because very seldom do you get an actual Happy Thanksgiving in a Stampin' Up! Set. So that is forever going to be in my stash. And the autumn leaves, that is the shape of this rectangle die cut for the label. I have one other, sorry, I just kicked the thing again. I wanted to show, this was my card. You've already seen this in probably Winter's Coming Wednesday, either 7 or 8. And I went ahead and did some splatter on this, very directional. And I'm looking for, I have a box of all my cards behind me. So I am looking for, all right, I'll show you this one. So the original card has stamped splatter in pecan pie, and I have it running kind of diagonal across these dotted lines that are also from Autumn Leaves. And then this area here is pretty plain, although I do see, I might have splattered this. This actually looks like 3 days ago I was playing with the splatter. So it is splattered with the fan. It is very subtle. I don't think it's metallic. It's just a very soft splatter in maybe a crumb cake. And here is what I was splattering yesterday. And the splatter was, I only did it one direction, and I was splattering it diagonal to match the diagonal of the brown. And it is in copper. So it also extends, I see some copper here. It's so hard to show you all these little details. So I was looking for a very specific splatter pattern, and this splatter I did on the base itself. Nobody's probably going to notice all this, but it is fun for me to explore all of these different techniques. So that is all I've got for today. Leave any of your questions, comments, or concerns on this channel. Again, I'll have the available supplies that are current on my blog. And I've got some more episodes coming, though by the time they get posted, the Artisan market will be long done. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.